City of Gold is something that treasure hunters have been looking for forever, but never found. But Ben in our movie has a way of finding things.
The City of Gold.
Cibola, the Seven Cities of Gold.
Cibola!
I think it's an ancient myth, this fabulous city of gold.
A city made of gold.
We found the Seven Cities of Gold, this rumor of the reason why people came to America.
That's what makes it even more exciting than I think National Treasure 1. Native American gold, temples that are all missing, and it's Cibola. The Cibola is the City of Gold.
This is real treasure.
City of Gold is supposedly exists somewhere in the North American continent, and little does anyone know where it is.
We found it!
There are lots of things hidden from the general population left to be discovered, that especially the City of Gold.
It's buried somewhere, which we find under Mount Rushmore, in the tunnels of Mount Rushmore.
I've been telling my friends about all of these amazing caverns underneath Mount Rushmore, and nobody believes me.
We have found the City of Gold, and who would have thought it's on stage 12 of Universal?
Tom Watkins, our production designer, went in and designed all that, built it over 12 weeks before the script was finished, and made it all work for the story that we're working on.
Dominic Watkins met with John and with Jerry and got basically their thoughts. We had a few generations of ideas, and using some very, very fine illustrators to flesh those out, think about those, consider those. We eventually got to where we really knew that a city of gold, a true city built physically out of gold, is what it needed to be. From then on, it's been about how do we execute that from a logistical and artistic standpoint within the time frame that we had to really make that as believable as possible.
Every time I walk on one of our sets, and it's particularly these enormous sets that we did for Book of Secrets, you realize the artistry of the technicians in Hollywood and this art that they've passed down since, I guess, the beginning of films. How they create these sets out of styrofoam. They make them look completely real. These sets are spectacular.
The attention to detail and the accuracy of the art department's work is fantastic. It looks exactly like the Rock in South Dakota.
Really amazing sets, with water too. There's water shooting out of different places, exploding up into places.
From artist rendering to miniature model to framework to final set, it's not amazing to see it all happen. It's amazing to see it happen so quickly. We were able to build an entire City of Gold in about 8 weeks. The idea of putting rivers and waterfalls on these sets is extraordinary. All to make you both be in awe and at the same time believe you are in a remarkable cave in South Dakota, an undiscovered piece of Native American history that you can believe is there, but you can't believe is that amazing.
I've never seen so many relics, so beautifully preserved.
We basically started by the reality of the region that we are saying. There is no ancient Olmec civilization centered where Mount Rushmore is. So we had to at least believe a civilization could move to that area, and we had to essentially wing it. And the writers had gone back and found that Mayan and Olmec cultures really were about the right period for what they wanted. Architecturally, it is, of course, perfect for us because we know we have examples of Mayan structures. We know we have Olmec structures that are city-like. That is something that can be imagined in gold. That kind of cemented the objective for us.
We used the largest soundstage we could find. It took up more than half of that soundstage. You can imagine the size of some of these Hollywood stages, and this is the biggest, so it was an enormous set.
I mean, this is the back of the set. Actually, if you just take a look at what's going on back here with the steel structure right here that supports the platform, and then all the styrofoam that's up above that. It's just a huge amount of styrofoam. And you can see this is a fire hose here and other water hoses going up into the set so water can come out of it. Yeah, I often look at this and I think, holy cow, that's pretty cool.
It's huge. I mean, no stage in Hollywood could encompass all of it. So we've got the main set here on stage 12. We've got another stage with another part of the cave. And then the entrance to the cave is actually up at the top of the hill at Universal in an outdoor tank. If you put it all together, it's probably one of the biggest sets ever built.
Tom Watkins was given minimum information and told to make maximum sets. We would have to follow his lead. He would say things like, all right, I've built you this little waterfall over here. And then we go, oh, great. And then we go write a little thing that takes place in his waterfall, just to keep all the creativity and the collaboration together.
It's one of those sets that we flooded, and that's the reason people couldn't find it, because it was very difficult to find. Once you find it, it starts to flood.
These are the pools in the City of Gold, and these essentially were based on some reference we had for sorting gold, that these pools would have been where you would have actually cleaned off and sorted things to sort it all. And the water comes from, this is one of our water sources right here for the city. This square shape right here, water would come out of that, feed all of these ponds, and they're all interconnected, and they all flow down to the bottom of the city to fill the water up.
The water sequences are elaborate, and we were working in them for several weeks. It was fun. You didn't have to act, but at the same time, well, what can I say? I don't think anybody was entirely comfortable with it.
It's sort of fun for a day, and then you're over the water after a week. But it looks really cool, so I guess it's fun to be part of it.
You know what, there's this weird line between you're going to put the actor through something way too hellish to experience, and you're going to put the actors through something really, really fun. Then all of a sudden, they get into it, and they want to do more, and they want to do more, and the challenges are bigger, and I don't need a stuntman, I don't need a stuntman. And then after about 4 days of it, 5 days of it, it's enough already. And they're like, okay, that was fun, but I'm tired of being soaking wet, and it starts to get a little bit taxing. Remember, the actor also cares most about telling the story and getting the character right. If all of this stuff helps do that, it's really fun for an actor.
We all kind of came to the decision that wherever action was going to play, wherever the actors had to interact, would have to be a practical set. Everything you see beyond this set will be a digital recreation.
Increasingly, we're building less and less, but for certain kinds of sequences, like things with physical water and certain other kinds of action, it still makes a great deal of sense to build real, physical, tangible sets that actors can interact with rather than blue screen.
When we're doing a digital set extension like this, it's best to have as much as possible practically shot on film. It gives us lighting direction, it gives us color direction. Obviously, it helps the actors and the director as well, because they have something to interact with. So it's kind of win-win for everybody to build as much and photograph as much as possible.
The communication between Dominic and Asylum as a visual effects company started from the get-go. We can all sit there together and decide what does get built and then what doesn't get built, what can be map paintings or what can be 3D environments, and what would the camera actually see.
All the way over here to the left, that's the edge of the set that we built. Where it's black, that will be computer generated.
If you look around, we have a very large black screen that's going around the entire set. It's marked up with what we refer to as tracking markers, which will allow us to recreate the camera move in the computer.
So everything you see in yellow here is actually live action, and everything in gray here is CG extension. Of course, the city got bigger than this in the end. During production, they decided that they wanted an entire courtyard and a whole row of buildings, a street, a bustling city back in its day, and so we just kept making buildings and pushing them back. It's entirely CG. There's no match to live action. You got to see these buildings, unfortunately, much closer than they'll get seen in the movie.
In the City of Gold, there's a scene where Riley is trying to take a little gold brick along with him. And the set piece didn't have the exact reflective qualities that John desired for that. So what we did is digitally recreated that brick. And then we had a lot of control over the amount of dirt that was on it, the amount of reflectivity that it had. And it's a very, very complicated thing. It's deceptively complicated to put something digitally in somebody's hands and make it look like they're actually holding it. We had to put a tremendous amount of detail into that particular sequence.
And we added all the rock caves. There was all kinds of water effects added on top and all kinds of debris. All the little bits and pieces had to be added, and then there was all kinds of particle effect stuff done on top of that. And then we also had to do CG enhancement to the live action set as well.
Digital effects are fantastic, and you can do a lot of beautiful things with them, but I think the audience still needs something real to grab onto.
Sometimes you think with all the CGI, all the digital stuff that's going on, that some of the physical sets will lose our talent for making those big sets. And I like the combination of the sets and the CGI artistry. And in this movie, this craft is very much in evidence. It's great old Hollywood set making.
From pre-production, when we knew we were going to use this stage until now, what's been accomplished, it's a great feeling. And it is the people who have participated in making this possible, who no one will ever see, are extraordinary. And this is a huge sense of accomplishment for many, many, many people.